welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all very well. I feel like I'm a little dot in the middle of lots of books today. Maybe I'm further away than I normally am. Hope you're all well. Today, happy Sunday. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely weekend. I'm in the midst, and if I say this now, I've got to complete it, of filming a reading vlog this weekend, which is quite exciting. David's been away this weekend, so I thought I'd film a reading vlog. Now, that should be up on Sunday, so I am in the midst of doing that, and I've been quite enjoying it, but I must commit to it. There's so many times in my life where I've tried to film a reading vlog and it just hasn't happened, so hopefully that should be up on Wednesday. Today, however, I'm going to be doing my March at the Moment video. So that's a video that I plop in the middle of the month where I just talk about books, films, TV, songs. Added a new little section this month, podcasts that I'm listening to at the moment, because when it comes to the end of the month, I only ever talk about my favourites, and sometimes these things I very much enjoy, but they're not my favourites. So I just thought it's a good opportunity to talk about some other things that are going on. I'm going to start with, what have I done with them? Oh, books that I'm reading. Now, as I said, I am filming a reading vlog at the moment, and that's going to be up Wednesday, and these books are going to be very much talked about in that reading vlog, so I'm not really going to go into much detail here. I will say I'm listening to the audiobook of Milkman by Anna Burns. I'm also listening to and reading Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. I'm reading Bottled Goods by Sophie Van Llewellyn, love that front cover, and Himself by Jess Kidd. So those are the books that I'm reading at the moment, but I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, because you don't want to have to listen to this now and then listen to it again on Wednesday. Pfft, no way. Right, the last film that I saw, David and I, we haven't been to the cinema in ages. We couldn't even work out if we'd been this year, but on Monday, which was lovely, we went and had a dinner date where you go for dinner first and then you go to the cinema. We went to Yo Sushi for dinner because Blue Mondays, and then we went and watched Captain Marvel in the recliner. Oh God, at Blue Water Cinema there's a recliner seat. I'm doing it now. Your feet go up and you're like on the comfiest chair ever with your feet up. I always take a big scarf, so I'm under like a blanket almost. 8 sweets, drunk a massive cup of Diet Coke with caffeine-free Diet Coke, which you can get in cinemas now, which is so exciting, and had cherry vanilla flavouring in it. Mwah, mwah, mwah. The only thing is I said I had to have the medium one, and they were like, oh, if you pay 30p more, you can have the big one. I swear to God, I can't even really liken anything. It was like this. When I was drinking it, I was having to sort of like drug myself back. Went to toilet 3 times in that film. 3 times. But let's talk about Captain Marvel. I really enjoyed it. Now, you may well know that I've been getting a sort of bit of superhero fatigue of late. I was always quite into Marvel films when I was younger. But recently, I just wasn't into them. The last Avengers film, the one where they all turned to dust at the end, didn't move me at all. I just wasn't that bothered. So, but have very much enjoyed Black Panther and was feeling very, very high excitement for Captain Marvel, and it did deliver. I really, really liked it. Now, I'm not going to say I enjoyed it as much as Black Panther, because I didn't. I mean, Black Panther, I just fancied everyone in it. Oh, just everyone. Might watch that again soon. Yeah, I think I deserve to. But I really, really loved it. I loved the characters. I loved Captain Marvel herself. I loved Jude Law in it. It was really good. He was really, I had no idea he was in it. But I thought he played a sort, oh, I can't really say, but I thought he played his character very well. If you've watched it, you might know what I mean. And actually, since watching that film, I've literally just finished watching a video. What you doing? Of Rowan's, where she talks about the queer relationship between Carol. Minnie, don't push that off the thing. She's pushing the box off the table and I've had to tell her off. She talks about the queer relationship between Carol and Maria, who it's sort of promoted as a friendship within the film, but I'm certain there's something else going on there, guys. And I will link Rowan's video down below because it was very, very interesting. However, it is littered with spoilers, so if you are planning on going to see the film, then watch the film first before you watch that video. But yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Loved the outfits. Really liked the 90s references. David said, not to put words in David's mouth, David said it was a bit too many 90s references for him, but for me, you can never get enough 90s references and stuff. So yes, very, very, very much enjoyed it, and looking forward to seeing her. She swayed me into thinking maybe I will go and see Avengers Endgame. David is beside himself about Avengers Endgame. Honestly, he can't stop talking about it. He says he watched the most recent trailer. He watched it about, I think he said he watched it about 6 times in a day. and he was crying. Right, most recent telly I've been watching. So last night was Red Nose Day, Comic Relief, which is something that happens in the UK. I believe it started happening in the US as well. It's like a fundraising night where they have a whole bunch of celebrities and TV presenters hosting sketches and funny things that happen in order to raise money for causes in the UK and outside of the UK. It can be things from malaria nets needed in Uganda to talking to young men about suicide here. It's a really worthy cause, and I sat in front of the telly and watched it quite a lot last night, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I feel like when I was younger I used to find it so funny, and I'd be so beside myself. I also remember there used to be like a lot of like Hollyoaks characters singing songs and things like that, and that doesn't happen so much anymore. But yeah, they put such a lot of work into it. One of the things that I've loved this year, and I really have loved it, is Claudia and Tess, who are the two hosts of Strictly Come Dancing. I love Strictly Come Dancing. They did a 24-hour dance-a-thon, which was hosted like partly on Radio 2 but also on the red button on the telly, and they danced solidly for 24 hours. They didn't sleep or anything. They danced solidly for 24 hours, and by the end they were both delirious, and they just did such a good job. And that's I donated my money then, because I was just like, what a bloody thing to do. Imagine being on your feet for 24 hours and dancing. So yeah, and you chatted to those two yesterday and found out how they got on. You saw like a sort of highlights package. I love a highlights package. So that's the most recent TV I've been watching. Most recent song I've been listening to, and I've been listening to this song a lot, and this is just goes to show that sometimes when you're out of touch and you watch the Brits, you do pick up things. So I watched the Brits last month, and the 1975, who are a band that I am aware of but only probably know one of their songs. Is it called Chocolate? Is that their song that I like, that I knew from years ago? They performed a song called Sincerity is Scary, and it was fantastic. He was on a travelator and he had like a gospel choir and like these New York scenes behind him, and I thought, I bloody love that song. I have not stopped listening to that song on Spotify, and it's just really good, and it just feels really joyful, and I really like it. So I need to listen to the album really. I just don't listen to albums anymore. I remember when I was a youngster, I used to get albums for Christmas or a birthday, and I would listen to the shit out of that album. I would know like which song went into which song. I would listen to it on shuffle to sort of like make myself aware of these new songs. I'd learn all the words, and I would just love albums. And I just don't do that anymore. I just listen to the same old stuff from like 2004 when I was out clubbing. So yeah, I need to start listening to albums. So maybe the 1975 is a place I will start. I've heard they're a very good album. I think it won on that night actually. The next thing is podcasts. So I've inserted this. This is a new little section I've added because I listen to so many podcasts, and there's always new podcasts coming in, but I also like to celebrate the podcasts that I've been listening to for a long time. However, the last podcast that I listened to, and I've literally just finished listening to it now, is a relatively new one, and I have mentioned this on, I have mentioned this in favourites, but I've only just started listening to it, and it is Love Stories with Dolly Alderton. Dolly Alderton is a journalist. She's written a book called, a journalist and an author. She's written a book called Everything I Know About Love, which I haven't read yet. Maybe I'll listen to that on audiobook. My sister says she wants to listen to that as well. And she also hosts another podcast, which is one of my favourites, called the HALLO. She hosts that with Pandora Sykes, and they talk about sort of things that are happening in the news at the moment, highbrow stuff and lowbrow stuff, and I very much enjoy that. But Love Stories is just so sweet. She interviews a guest in every episode, and I'm listening to the back catalogue, so I'm listening to sort of like 2018 episodes and they just talk about love. So that it could be things like their first love, it could be like an unrequited love, it could be their love for a book, or their love for a music genre, and it's just so wonderful. And the episode I've just listened to is the Ruth Jones episode, and Ruth Jones is an actress, a scriptwriter, a TV presenter, an author now, and she wrote and starred in one of my favourite sitcoms of all time, which is Gavin and Stacey, and it's so lovely to hear her talk about her loves, and just to mention Gavin and Stacey in that, and she's got a book out now, and yeah, I just really loved it. And actually that's the episode I just listened to recently, but before then in the week I listened to the Emma Freud episode. Emma Freud is a scriptwriter again, and she's also behind a lot of the Red Nose Day stuff. It's all linking in, isn't it? And she is the partner of Richard Curtis, who is the name you would associate with films such as Love Actually and Four Weddings and a Funeral. They've got a new film coming out called Yesterday, but they talk in quite depth about a film in this podcast called About Time. which is probably the most romantic, and I get emotional just talking about it, probably the most romantic and just adorable film that I've ever watched. David and I went to watch it at the cinema, and as soon as it finished we were like, God, we want to watch this again. And the premise of it is that the main character, the males in his family have a skill where they're able to time travel and relive days and things like that. But although that's happening, the main thing is that the main message is that you can find extraordinary, and I believe this is the line from the film, you can find extraordinary in the ordinary. And yeah, it's just so lovely and it just makes me feel so emotional. And when they were talking about it on the podcast, I was crying my bloody eyes out on the way to work, just hearing them talk about it and how special that film is. So yeah, I've been loving that podcast. God, I feel so emotional just thinking about that bloody film. It can't just be me that gets emotional about time. Love it so much. So yeah, Love Stories with Dolly Alderton, definitely check it out. There is just so many, and I keep hearing about that I should have a mascara warning for the Stanley Tucci episode, which I think is coming up. So I've got a lot of those to listen to. So really, it's so nice, isn't it, when you find something that you love and there's a massive back catalogue of them. So yeah, I'm really enjoying doing that. So the next two things are online and YouTube. So online, what I've been doing a lot online this month, you will know that the Women's Prize for Fiction long list has been announced. That was announced at the beginning of the month, the Monday before International Women's Day. And I've been using my library website quite a lot to reserve books to get them in, because it's a long list of 16 books. I'd only read 2 on the list and I didn't own any others, which is really rare. Like in previous years, I've owned like 3 or 4 and I've had enough to get on with, and I didn't. So straight away I bought 2 books from the long list. I got 2, I also got 2 on Audible, and then the rest of them I was like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna like these books. I don't want to buy all of them. So I've been using my local library. Now it costs 80 pence to get a book in, and I'm actually about to go and pick one up from the library now with my sister. My Sister the Serial Killer. That's not my sister's name. The book, My Sister the Serial Killer. Yeah, so I've been using the library and I've been checking on and seeing when they're coming in, and there's quite a long waiting list, as you can imagine, for these books, but I reckon I could do it before the shortlist comes out. So yeah, I've been using my online library system to reserve books. I'm very interested to hear how library systems work in other counties, countries, etc. Do you have to pay to get books into your library? Because we didn't until recently. Excuse me, I'm really slotty. Because we didn't until recently. It used to be 35p when I was a young girl, and then it didn't cost anything for ages and ages, and now it's gone up to 80p, and I was sort of begrudgingly like, don't really want to pay 80p, but now I don't mind doing that because I'm contributing to a local library and I want that local library to stay open. I keep hearing horror stories of all these local libraries that are closing down, so I'm very, very happy to sort of reserve 4 books and sling 4 quid in the direction of the library. So yeah, very, very much looking forward to getting down the library and picking up some of my long list. And then the last thing is, what have I been watching on YouTube? Now I've just mentioned the last video that I watched on YouTube already earlier on in that book. That's Rowan Ellis's video about the queer relationships in Captain Marvel, and I will, as I said, I will link that down below. But a recent YouTuber I've been watching, who is a booktuber and who I've I think Mercedes introduced me to her in November last year, but I've been watching her such a lot recently and I just feel like she needs a shout out, and that is Charlotte from Tired Mama Tries to Read. Charlotte has got a very similar reading taste to my own, and whenever I watch videos of hers I think, oh yeah, I would like that. If she likes it I think, oh yeah, I would like that. She's got an amazing little book shed in her back garden that she reads in and films her videos in, and she's just fantastic. I really, really, really like her channel, and I feel like if you like some of the books that I like, then you'll definitely be into Charlotte's channel as well, so I will link her channel down below, and you should definitely go and check this out. So that's it for me. Wrote it on a flashcard, didn't I? That's it from me for my at the moment video. As I said, still filming a reading vlog, so that'll be up on Wednesday. If I say it on a video, it's got to be true. And that's it from me, so I will see you all again soon for another booktube video. Goodbye!